But there are also a lot of mystics who don't have the revelation of inclusion or all of that stuff. They don't have the revelation of the love of God. They may have amazing encounters with God, but that doesn't guarantee that they know him. And I think some of these guys know more about him by revelation of truth than those people who have amazing encounters actually do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be preaching hell and damnation and other things. And there's still many mystics who are not believing the restoration of all things. So they don't have that revelation, even though they've had many experiences, because I think some of their experiences are shaped by what they believe. And they can't interpret their experience or what God is revealing because their own mindsets are so strongly opposed to certain things that God is trying to reveal. So I think it's in both sides. And others who have revelation of inclusion, revelation, they may not even be charismatic, but that doesn't matter because they're on a journey towards where God is taking them. They're not at their destination. And of course, most people who are in this path are sort of blinkered to a degree in which they don't see the other streams flowing. But then they begin to get glimpses of other people who are saying the same things, but they're also adding this to it and adding that to it. And then that opens their eyes like, whoa. And some of them may reject that aspect of it. They accept the bits that agree with them and then reject the bits that don't. But those who are becoming mature, they're willing to embrace what others bring to the table, if you like, and begin to partake of it. And there were those who came from the eschatology stream who were very sort of quite, a lot of them not really coming from a mystic perspective at all. But they then, if they follow where this is heading, cannot deny the inclusion, because the eschatology of what happened at the end of the age also includes, well, this didn't happen at the end of the ages, it happened then. Therefore, that's changed my whole view of how God deals with us. So they're on that journey, but it's okay. And I think you're wise not to say too much, but don't be afraid of saying something that maybe opens their eyes to something new, which is why, we put out all sorts of material, some of it really embracing inclusion and all that perspective and restoration, but we also put out stuff regarding, our heavenly position and our sonship and our authority in it all. And I think all of this will eventually come together and people will begin to embrace all of it. Whereas at the moment, they may embrace one stream of it or two streams of it. And some of them who are very much in talking about inclusion and grace and the Grace Awakening Network and all those things, they're also starting to talk about immortality. So God is beginning to unveil. Well, when you start to engage with that, that begins to open a mystic dimension and other things, so I'm not in at all concerned about the fact that some people are where they are, because I was where I was, years ago, and even in recent times, and so that's okay. I see it as a journey and we're all flowing. Eventually, when those tributaries, if you like, start to come together into the river, people are going to, whoa, this is more than I'm comfortable with. A lot of them, and they will, and they probably feel that. I was, one of the first things that got deconstructed back in, initially baptism of the Spirit got deconstructed, and I began to embrace that. And then that deconstructed eschatology, I had no idea where that would head. And it was years from the mid 80s, to the early 90s to 2010 and beyond, where actually that revelation then changed the whole inclusion perspective to realize, this was where this was heading. God could not have given me that revelation back in 1988 or whatever. Then I could not have accepted it. But I was deconstructed eschatology wise. I never saw the link between that and what would happen to people when they died, or what was referring to Gehenna and all of those things. Didn't see it as relating, although I must have read it, never saw it. But when the revelation came, it was like, God, it's taken 30 odd years for you to get me to this point where I can now see this. I'm like, I wish I'd saw this 30 years ago, but I couldn't. And that's the same for everyone on the journey. It's obvious when you know it and see it and experience it. It really isn't obvious until you do. If you enjoy these videos, would you please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe? It really does help. Thank you very much.